Hello, everybody. Welcome back to week 3 of the Bharat Army podcast IPL special. Week 3. Woo! We made it to week 3, everyone. There's still a demand to listen to us. So, the Bharat Army podcast, the only podcast in the world in which you will hear detailed discussions about Parthiv Patel. Yes, that's right. Parthiv Patel. That's what these people spent their time. That's what they spent their time last week talking about when I wasn't here. Parthiv Patel. Seriously, even in Parthiv Patel's own house, they won't be talking about Parthiv Patel as much as we talk about Parthiv Patel. Honestly, Parthiv Patel. Well, anyway, I'm back now. So, we can carry on with business as usual. Thank you very much, Isha Acton, for coming along the podcast last week. I'm sure she'll be back in the future. But until then, as you can see, we've got a packed house here at Bharat Army's headquarters. So let's do a quick check to see who we've got today. Again, a packed house. So let's say a quick hello to Neha, representing Chennai Super Kings. How's it going, Neha?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, it's going okay.
Yeah, it's going, quite okay. Well, maybe, yeah. We'll get on to that.
I have no words today.
Yeah, well, very few of us have some words. I tell you somebody who else has no words, and that is, unfortunately, KL Rahul had no words after that last match. So, Anmol, we're going to say hello to Anmol. How are you doing, Anmol? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you. Very good. Let's also say a quick hello to Amanda, RCB. How's it going, Amanda?
Hello, I'm good. Feeling great. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Probably not as good as you are right now. Wow, talk about turnaround in the season. Wow, RCB, eh? We're going to have to talk about them. Let's say another quick hello to Manish, Sunrisers Hyderabad. How you doing, Manish? You all right?
Yes, I'm doing great. It feels great to be back on the podcast.
Yes, indeed. We are feeling lucky to have you. So we're also having Sid, Mumbai Indians. Sid, how are you doing, Sid?
Excited and nervous for today's game, but yes, we are going to win it. So yeah,
big game coming later today. We also have representing the Kolkata Knight Riders. We have, of course, Abhijit. How you doing, Abhijit?
I'm doing good. I mean, the kind of matches that we are playing, we should stop allowing heart patient to watch KKR matches at the moment.
Yeah,
the kind of win that we are getting.
I feel like any KKR match or any KKR fan, it needs to come with like a defibrillator right next to the bed so that, you can pump the chest open every now and again. I also realized after the last couple of podcasts, Abhijit, that you and me have something in common. We are both huge fans of Gautam Gambhir.
Yes.
So one day we're going to have to do just a podcast of me and you just talking about how much we love Gautam Gambhir.
I think Sid also loves Gautam Gambhir.
Yeah,
very big fan, any day.
Isn't it obvious for a KKR fan to love both Gautam Gambhir and Shah Rukh Khan?
Yeah, they come hand in hand. I think.
Not only KKR fans, but also Indian fans in general. They got to love GG.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. And we also have two people making their podcast debut today. Representing the Rajasthan Royals, we have Ronak. How you doing, Ronak?
Hi, excited to be part of this podcast. Unfortunately, team's not doing well. But I think the positive is that despite all the poor performances, we are 7th and not 8th. So that is something I'm really still optimistic about. Not 8th so far.
Well, we like optimism on this podcast. We do like optimism. And representing the Delhi Capitals, we have Gurkirat. How you doing, Gurkirat?
Thanks, Ashish. I'm doing great. It's an unusual feeling for a Delhi fan, when your team's at the top after 6 games, having lost just 1 game. You're not familiar with it, but, as a Delhi fan, I would hope that this feeling continues. And we come out on the right side after today's game. Just want to mention another thing. Delhi is the only team that has a 50-50 record with Mumbai. Against all other teams, Mumbai Indians has a positive head-to-head, but against Delhi, it's at 12-12. So even in their bad years, Delhi has been able to do well against Mumbai. So yeah, I really think that today would be a good game, and hopefully the result is favorable to our team.
Well, yeah, let's see if that record comes in handy a little bit later. So let's get into the table, shall we? Unfortunately, we are going rock bottom first, and we're starting with Anmol. Anmol, I don't know what to tell you. I honestly, I don't know what to tell you. Kings 11 Punjab really struggling at the moment. They just can't seem to get over the line. What did you think about the matches in this past week?
Yeah, last match was very disappointing. I thought till the last over that we are gonna win it, but that inches matters the result. Not at all a problem. We will bounce back. It In the last Hyderabad, I think so. Hyderabad match, we didn't perform well that time. Also, we need to stop the target, or we have to take the wicket in that match. We have not done this. In this match, we have in the last match we have taken the wickets earlier, but we can't perform in the end. We can't finish off.
Yeah, I think even Anil Kumble and KL Rahul are a little bit stumped as well as to how this is happening. I can't help but feel though that the Kings 11 are they're not this bad a team. I don't quite understand how they're just finishing, on the losing end of all of these matches. And like you said, with that Maxwell attempt to go for a six that landed like that far away from the rope, you just kind of hoped they would get them over the line. But I mean, let's talk about that match to KKR. And, I think Abhijit is going to have his own opinions on this match a little bit later on as well. But how did Punjab lose that match? They were in such a good position and just couldn't get the job done.
After this last match, I woke up early in 5 and I bowled 6 consecutive overs in my ground with Yorkers. I was very angry. And I also practiced 12 overs batting. I am not done in my career that much stretch workout, but that much anger I have of the last match. I was very angry after the last match. Very angry. I can't describe in the words.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for Kings 11 at the moment. It's not been a good season for them. I must admit, I think I mentioned this on the first podcast that I did actually predict them to finish last, but I don't think that this team is that bad. And I think Anil Kumble said in an interview that they're waiting for the rub of the green to go their way. Hasn't quite happened. So Anmol, let me ask you the last question then when it comes to Kings 11 Punjab. Chris Gale. We're all obviously waiting for Chris Gale to come back into the team. Anil Kumble talked about the fact that he was not well. Food poisoning, he alluded to, saying is keeping him out of the team. What difference can Chris Gale actually make to this situation at the moment?
If we are opening with Chris Gale and KL Rahul, they will give the good partnership. After that, as if Mayank and KL is also giving a good partnership. If by chance opener gets out, then Mayank comes in. After that, Puran, they all will have the great opening and the middle order shot very strong. He will become, and after that, luck matters.
Right, and are you still holding on for hope, Anmol, of a top 4 finish? Do you think that there's still hope left?
Yes, hope left because we are having the last 7 games to win and we are also have the 7 to win and the last 7 games left. Every game must win.
Yeah, Abhijit, let's go to you really quickly. We'll talk about Kolkata Knight Riders in a little bit more depth later on, but that match, I mean, you must feel quite fortunate this week about how that match panned out.
Yes, I am. I mean, the team stuck with their bowlers, and it was actually a suicidal move from Punjab to send an experienced player instead of Maxwell, and that's when they lost the match. Actually,
I think most people agreed with that. Really, when Maxwell didn't come out as early as he could have, that people were kind of scratching their heads, wondering why that was.
I just have something to add, if I may.
Go for it.
The Punjab team. I think obviously there's no defense at why they sent Prabh Simran over Maxwell and Mandeep in the side. But I really think that they have to change rather than adding Gale in their lineup and making changes to their batting lineup. I think they need to add some bowling depth. Against Mumbai, they went in with 8 overs of Gautam, Neesham and Maxwell. Now they have to realize that Neesham doesn't even bowl 4 overs for New Zealand, right? Against such a strong batting lineup, if you're asking Maxwell, Gautam and Neesham to do 8 overs, you're going to undo all the good work that you've done in the other 12 overs, right? So they also have to fix their bowling depth. The other point that I have is in 2 or 3 games, KL Rahul has just taken that ankle roll longer than what he should have. You saw it in the game against Rajasthan in Sharjah. Like to be very honest, if you're just talking about numbers, he played 45% of the innings at a strike rate of 127 in a game where the average strike rate was 185. Now, I understand that you want to play anchor, but you also have got to know when you want to switch your gears. He did something similar against Chennai as well. And yesterday too, if you see, his strike rate was again lesser than what was the required strike rate. So he's also, I think, now what they're thinking is that they want to cover up for the inexperience in the middle order, but the top order, by being a little more defensive than what they should, they're again putting that much pressure on the middle order, which is coming in a position which they're not comfortable with. So they have to address two things. One is the bowling depth, and I think the second is, the approach on how KL is going to bat. I think once he's past the 10th over mark, he should show his range, because he's done it before. He's a player who can play at a strike rate of 150 very easily without having much to do. But, seeing him bat like this is a little frustrating, I'll be very honest. It's like Rohit Sharma, when off spinners are coming, he's looking for singles. Now,
So the balance is all wrong, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, how would you feel as a Mumbai Indians fan, or even an Indian cricket fan, when you see an off spinner is coming on to bowl and Rohit Sharma is looking for singles down to long on? You'll be enraged. So that is something that I've had an issue with KL Rahul specifically.
Yeah, lots to think about with Kings 11 Punjab. And go ahead, Abhijit.
Yeah, I have one question to Anmol. I mean, do you think KKR is missing a trick by not picking up an experienced captain for their side? I mean, they had Maxwell as a captain, R. Ashwin as a captain, and back in time, even Murli Vijay captained them. Even this year, they are criticizing KL Rahul like he is taking upon himself to complete the match. I mean, a captain is someone who empowers others to win the match rather than taking upon himself, and that's what it's reflecting in his strike rate also. I mean, in first power play, he's not striking. I think he is striking in excess of 110. If
110.
I mean, look at. I mean, for me, Gautam Gambhir is my larger than life character. If we go to CSK, CSK and MSD go hand in hand. Same with Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. Do you think Punjab is missing a trick by not picking up a good captain? Last time they picked up a good captain in George Bailey, they were in the finals.
Yeah, bro, I would like to add that KL Rahul is not a experienced captain. He's learning a bit but he is not getting the support from the team. I think so.
But do you think if someone like Kane Williamson would have been in that Kings 11 Punjab setup, then result would have been a bit different?
Yeah. I agree to this. If Kane Williamson, like a legend captain, I say, because he's a very cool, calm, and very skillful person, I would say better that if Kane Williamson would win the team, the results would be different.
I just have a point to make on what Gurkirat also said and what Anmol said, that KL Rahul is being scoring at a very low strike rate, and I think at this point that's why Gale along with KL Rahul will help KL Rahul to play at that strike rate, and Gale can on the other end go at 50 of 25 balls or something like that. And in that respect, a KL Rahul's inning of a strike rate of 120, 130 will actually anchor the innings. But with both batsmen being of the same type, Mayank Agarwal and KL Rahul, I think it doesn't make sense for KL Rahul to become the anchorman yet.
Yeah, that's why I was only putting that Gale should come and open with KL and Mayank on 3.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ronak, why don't we stick with you? Because next up in the table, moving on from Kings 11, is the Rajasthan Royals. And what a change from the first week to this week, eh? A huge change in the fortunes of the team. They find themselves in 7th place. What did you make of this past week?
I mean, the past week was obviously very, very bad. I mean, we started off really well, 2 wins in a row, and both of them were, high-scoring matches, and we thought our batting is clicking at the right time, and we have Smith in form, Samson in form. But the last 4 matches, I mean, the batting has just gone for a toss, and which is, I think, the main weakness right now for Rajasthan Royals. I mean, if you see the team, for us to win any match, Samson, Smith and Butler need to score at least 60 to 70% of the runs. You can't expect a Tewatia or a Lomror or Riyan Parag to, play that match-winning innings of a 60 or a 70 and take the team through. So it is these top 3 who 9 out of 10 times will have to win us the matches. And for the last 4 occasions, they haven't. I'm actually very disappointed with Sanju Samson, because in every IPL he plays those couple of knocks, and he's that friend who always says, I'm reaching in 5 minutes, please wait for me, I'm reaching in 5 minutes. and you're just waiting out there, and 1 hour later you say, I'm reaching in 5 minutes, but that friend never arrives. I mean, you just keep on waiting. Right, so it's for the last 6-7 IPLs, we're just waiting for him to produce that breakthrough performance, which like a Rishabh Pant gave in the last IPL where he scored 600 plus runs. I think that has never come for us, and I think Sanju Samson is one of the biggest worry right now for us. His form.
Well, yeah, in the first week of this IPL special podcast, we talked about Sanju Samson, potentially being a replacement for MS Dhoni. We even talked about doing a feature on this podcast, a wicket keepers mini league, which we kind of still talk about on our WhatsApp group. But to be honest, I mean, a lot of those wicket keepers, I mean, KL Rahul doesn't even keep anymore for Kings 11. Ishan Kishan doesn't keep for Mumbai Indians. And Sanju Samson just looks like he's kind of losing his way a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, everyone expected him in around 2014, 2015 to become that next keeper if he would have given us good performances. Unfortunately, right now he's way below the pecking order. I mean, he hasn't even played a one-day international yet. So you can imagine the kind of inexperience he himself has on the international level. So at this moment, I wouldn't even have Sanju Samson as a second keeper, because I think KL Rahul and Rishabh Pant are the two first choices keepers for the Indian white ball team. And I don't right now see Sanju in the scheme of things unless he produces a turnaround in the coming 8 matches and maybe, takes the IPL to storm. But that looks pretty unlikely right now.
Yes, indeed it does. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to add something on the keepers bit. Right.
Go ahead.
The last 2-3 weeks, it's all been about, when you talk of wicketkeeper batsmen, there have been discussions about Rishabh Pant, there have been discussions about KL Rahul, there have been discussions about Ishan Kishan, Sanju Samson. But yesterday, Dinesh Karthik just woke up, like how Undertaker used to wake up from the dead, and he showed everyone how you can just do the finishing job without a fuss. Make no mistake, his innings on a tacky wicket, I'd say it was a little slow and a little too paced. It looked as if he was batting in Sharjah and everybody else was batting in Abu Dhabi. He just went in, and it was not even some kind of slogging. They were proper cricketing shots. It's been something that he's been doing over the years in IPL. And, he probably told everyone that enough of this discussion. I'll just show everyone, how our wicketkeeper batsmen are supposed to bat. And I'm despite being a Delhi fan, I'm a huge fan of Dinesh Karthik because I just love his approach. I just feel that when it comes to finishing, he keeps it very simple. He picks up his bowlers. He understands that when he needs a boundary, and then he goes for his go-to shots. You never see him doing something funky. He will just go for his proper cricketing shots, and it works for him. Just wanted to add that bit that age is not on his side, but he's definitely right up there when it comes to just finishing.
So what you're saying is that we should bring out Dinesh Karthik once a year for WrestleMania. Let's.
I want to add something to what Gurkeerat said, and yes, he rightly said that Dinesh Karthik showed us what he can do and what his potential is. And I feel that someone like KL Rahul has a lot to learn from someone like Dinesh Karthik. Even though Dinesh Karthik has extra years of experience in his bag, he's a relatively young IPL captain. He's been the IPL captain of KKR for 3 years now. But still, we've always seen him back his players. And, even in yesterday's match, we saw him back his bowlers. Prasidh Krishna, who came under a crunch situation and took the game away from KKR, taking KL Rahul's wicket. So, on the other hand, we've seen KXIP sort of shift their team balance and not finding the right 11. So, I feel KL Rahul needs to make a note of things from Dinesh Karthik and sort of stick to one playing 11 and back his players.
Yes, indeed.
Are we saying suddenly after one good performance from Dinesh Karthik that he should be back into the potential you should look, you should have some like Dinesh Karthik whom you should take inspiration from, or he should be the potential next wicketkeeper, or not suddenly? Only after one performance, you kind of form this opinion on him?
Because 3 days ago, everyone was saying, why is Dinesh Karthik batting ahead of Russell? Why is he coming ahead? And it's just a knee-jerk reaction to one match. So
even why is Morgan not captaining KKR? That was the biggest question. Like, people didn't even realize if next year IPL is happening, and at that same time England tour is there, the limited over skipper from England, Morgan, if they have one match also, he will miss KKR squad for 10 days. They did not even realize, and they jumped into conclusion like Morgan should be the captain. So people,
true.
And I guess he's realized that in yesterday's match, and he sent Morgan at 4. And also the result speaks for itself. And Kolkata being on the upper in the upper half of the table reiterates the fact that Dinesh Karthik, sort of backs his 11 and does a better job being the captain of KKR.
Where is Siddharth?
Just on the captaincy bit, I'd like to add that a lot of captaincy in the IPL is not really, run by the captains themselves. And how people talked about KL Rahul being young. So Rohit Sharma at one point of time was also a very young captain, right? But he had Ricky Ponting's support. Shreyas Iyer was in a similar situation. So I feel a lot of in Punjab's case specifically, I think it's not just KL Rahul, it's more of Anil Kumble, who's doing the changes. And same I'd say, is true for some extent when it comes to Kolkata Knight Riders, because you have such an experienced backroom staff in Baz McCullum, there's David Hussey, there's Kyle Mills. So I feel, just blaming the captain is not fair, regardless of, which team you support or, which team you want to analyze, because there's always a lot more that goes on in the backroom stuff. We saw that in Cricket Fever, the Mumbai Indians documentary as well, how Jayawardene was equally involved in the scheme of things.
Yeah.
So I just feel that, coaches also need to be questioned somewhere. And, they must be, they must also be held responsible. That is just, I think that is something that goes missing.
Sure. Well, if we can just finish off the discussion on Rajasthan Royals very quickly. So, Ronak, 3 losses in a row. You're now waiting for the saviour to arrive. You're waiting for Ben Stokes now to kind of get back into this team. What kind of difference is he going to be able to make in this team at the moment?
I think he's going to make a massive difference, not on the ground, but off the ground as well. However, I think he'll come with a lot of pressure, considering we have lost the last 4 matches in a row, and all eyes will be on him to see how he performs. But however, I mean, he works really well under pressure. I mean, the World Cup final, the Ashes victory that he won by himself. So Ben Stokes is that person who can actually carry on the team on his shoulders, be it with the bat, with the ball, with the field. He's also been training well in New Zealand over the last couple of months, although he's going through some personal problems back home, but he's been training well, and in UAE as well, he's trained well for the last couple of weeks. So I'm very positive. However, my major concern right now is the Indian players also within the team. So we have the mid-season transfers coming up, and I'm very excited to see if we can get a few quality Indian players, because there was a stat which actually blew my mind in the Rajasthan versus MI game, which happened, I think, 4-5 days ago, wherein all the 7 Indian players that Rajasthan Royal fielded, none of them had actually played an international ODI match ever. I mean, wow. Can you imagine a team going into the IPL with 7 Indian players and none of them having played a single ODI? I mean, that shows the lack of experience that Rajasthan Royals have in the Indian department. And on the other hand, we have these World Cup superstars of Jofra Archer, Ben Stokes, Butler and Smith. So I think there's a wide gap of quality between the international players and the Indian players. And I'm really keen to see whether in the mid-transfer season, if they can get someone like maybe a Rahane back or an Ishant Sharma, who are quality experienced players, but sitting on the bench for other teams. So let's see how that works out.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And with that, looking at the table, our train has arrived in Nungambakkam station, and we are in Chennai now. Woo! This is always an eventful stop on the way to the Bharat Army podcast discussion. Neha, we're in Chennai. One step forward, 3 steps back is kind of what it feels like for Chennai at the moment. What's been your thoughts on this past week?
No thoughts, blank, zapped, zoned out. I think after having that spectacular win against Punjab by 10 wickets, I thought we are just there, because I've been telling that we just need that one win to get the momentum and the tempo right for a team. But I think that one such an important 10-wicket win didn't really help us. I think the game with KKR, how can we lose that game? I was like, we cannot be losing such a game. 10 runs. And again, yesterday's game, I have nothing to say. I think Virat Kohli really pulled it off and paved the path for them. I think we were still very much in control in the first 10 overs, probably the last 4 overs, 66 runs. I was like, I think there itself, we lost the match. Nothing seems to be working for us. There have been no big partnerships. I think batting is really a worry, except for Faf. There is nobody who's really been performing. Though we bought Jagdishan yesterday, he did a pretty decent job, but then not the kind of knock we were looking for in a chase, right? If we are chasing, we have to use the power play well. And if I just vaguely remember the stats, we've not been able to cross 50 or 55 runs in the first 10 overs. I think that's not the kind of stats we want when you kind of chase a total which is more than 150, 160 like yesterday's match. I think nothing seems to be working. Batting is really too much to worry upon. The middle order is not able to soak in much pressure, leaving too much for the batsmen who are coming in the end to perform. And this is not really working for us. So what one thing which has always been lacking is the one great start partnership that we needed, except for the one match which was against Punjab where Shane and Faf really killed it off, and then people suddenly be like, oh, Shane is great, he is back and all of that. But I think one match cannot decide. You really need to be consistent in order to be able to understand that yes, I can perform in all the matches. That's not happening. It's just inconsistency. Things are all over the place. Everything is scattered. No common team of 11 players coming out, going out. It's all over the place.
Well, look, Neha, I wanna read you something. Actually, I want to read you something and get your thoughts on it. So, actually, on the Bharat Army podcast, there's a secret group in the Bharat Army podcast that I'm actually fortunate enough to be a member of, and we're called the Elite. And shout out to Abhishek Talwar on the Elite. Big up yourself, Abhishek. This is what Abhishek had to say from the Bharat Army podcast Elite group. He had to say about Chennai Super Kings. They have managed to be so consistent over many years, but through no fault of their own, time has just passed them by like it does to everyone. Neha, are they just too old now? Like, is it true that what people were saying at the start of the tournament, this team is too old now to be able to compete at the top IPL level?
See, they were old last year also, right? I remember watching the first match of Mumbai versus CSK in the Wankhede Stadium, where almost after losing a match, we won. That was the first match of the season. And that's when in the stadium, I could overhear people talking, oh, the team is so old, everybody's 30 up, coach has not thought well when he selected the players and etc. But we did manage to enter the finals at that point of time. So I don't know how much 1 year the age difference could make to that thought. I think if in the same scenario, if we would have been playing well, the age factor wouldn't have come out. Again, I don't know for the how many time I'm saying this. Experience and quality really matters. We do have experience. So don't forget the spectacular catch from Dhoni. Age, he defies age clearly. Age alone cannot be the factor for us not doing well. I do agree that we have, if we look at our players, we do have players who mostly fall under the senior category. But then that should have applied in the last 2 years as well, where we've successfully probably qualified for the playoffs. So it's now that the things are not going our way, things like these will always come and pull off. I agree that probably the team's energy and enthusiasm, sometimes when I look at them, when they're batting, it is absolutely low. The energy looks really very low. I don't know what is with that. Probably they're waking on the wrong side of the bed every day whenever there is a match. Really can't understand. But I think they really need to be pumped up hard with their energy and enthusiasm. That is really lacking in them. But I think age is a defining factor.
Abhijit, let's bring you
I have
back
one
in.
question, Neha. Actually, if you look, let's forget the age part, because we signed Praveen Tambe, who was 48, and do you think the irregularity or the inexperience in last few years for the Chennai Super Kings squad, like Ravindra Jadeja is no longer a regular in India team. Even add Harbhajan and Raina to it. They did not play any cricket from last few years. Add Raidu to it, from going to retirement then coming back. And Shane Watson is no different. I mean, it was very devastating for me to see MS Dhoni struggling to get doubles in the match. I mean, do you think, forget the age part, the kind of form they are in, I mean, there is no match practice for them. Do you think that is one of the big concern for CSK, and that is one of the reasons why CSK is not winning this year?
I think firstly, it hurts to see Dhoni like that. I mean, he really, the fans don't want to see him.
And Dhoni is a naturally fit player, right? Dhoni is a naturally fit player. I'll challenge any athlete to beat him with pads on.
And I think, as you rightly said, probably few players in the team who we are looking forward to have a good innings have not played a regular international cricket. Probably also the pandemic of 6 months has taken a toll. No excuses. Nobody has played that much of the cricket in the last 6 months as well. But probably a little lesser practice or whatever they have not had in the international season can add to the pressure. It's too early to say. We still have 7 matches to go. We still can qualify for the playoffs. Difficult, yes, but not impossible. Not impossible, difficult, definitely, looking at how the team has been going. But I was reading somewhere yesterday, I think in 2010, the similar situation happened. First, we lost the 5 matches out of 7, and then we were the winners in that
And yeah,
particular
you're
year.
still only 6th in the table. So, I mean, like, it's not like you're rock bottom. There's still time, obviously, to turn it around. But you just need some sort of magic ingredient. Let me just bring in a couple of the other guys for a minute to discuss this CSK matter, which obviously is such a big talking point on every podcast that we do. Let's go over to Sid. Sid, what do you feel about CSK so far?
So basically, the thing is, no one is taking the heat concept in between because it's too humid there. It's not easy for someone to, to keep wickets for 20 overs and then come out to bat. It's not that easy over there. It's too humid over there. Comparatively to India, it's too humid over there. So that's also a factor. Age is not a factor, but obvious because he is fit. If you have seen the post-match interviews, what they show, like how a player is practicing, you might be seeing that Dhoni is practicing a lot. He is facing spinners, fast bowlers, everyone. So he is fit. The only thing is it's too hot out there. And the other thing is, I would believe that Dhoni should come in at 2 down. That's a perfect spot for him. Second, the last thing is Bravo took 3 wickets in the last to last match. He took 3 wickets. And this match, he only bowled 1 over. So that was somewhat illogical, I believe. Because if he is taking wickets, if he is getting his form back, so there was no logic to just give him 1 over at the end. Because he should have been used very well. That's a fact that the other bowlers were also bowling well. But yes, Bravo should have been given those overs because he is also bowling well. That's another point.
Let's go over to Ronak. Ronak, what do you think?
Yeah, so couple of points. First, I don't agree that age is that much of a factor. I understand Chennai is a very senior team. However, as Sid also mentioned, the conditions in India and UAE are completely different. The same Chennai team in India would have, I think, would have performed much better because here in this IPL also you see the young ones are performing considerably better than the senior ones. So age is not a factor. Maybe it's just a condition. Secondly, I have a question for Neha, which is, seeing the trend in this IPL where teams batting first have won majority of the matches. I mean, around 18 out of 25 matches, the teams batting first has won. And unfortunately, CSK has chased in all 7 of their matches. So do you think whether CSK could have won a match if they would have maybe batted first in any of their matches? Or, I mean, it wouldn't have mattered because CSK's performance itself is a worry?
Well, I think it would have probably mattered in few of the games, right? Because now when they're coming on to bat, firstly, now in the last 2 matches, I think they are carrying that burden of loss in their shoulders and kind of playing that match with that burden. I think they need to get that burden off them that, you've had 5 losses in a match. Just come, give a fresh start and play it off. And as you said, unfortunately, though after winning tosses in the earlier 3-4 games, we still choose to chase down. We kind of didn't have to bat first. But I think batting first is one of the experiments that we should definitely do now whenever we win the toss, because I think firstly in that the players will come on and play very freely, fearlessly and aggressively. Like they don't have to worry too much because they don't have to chase. All they need to do is put up a decent total. Also in the current scenario, the Chennai's bowling unit, I would say, is doing much better than the batting unit. So in that scenario as well, we going batting first, fearlessly, aggressively. Shane can be his usual. Faf is already hitting the ball. And I think in our order, till Bravo, people can actually come in and play those shots. So if we put up a decent total, then bring in the bowlers who are considerably doing a better job for us right now, as of today, as of the past 2 weeks, I think it will be a great advantage for us to kind of go and experiment with batting first, because clearly chasing has not been working for us in the past 7 matches. So that is one thing. And I've always been saying, I want to see what happens when we bat first. Who is that player who comes out and plays? Is it Samkaran? Probably Bravo in the end, or Jadeja. Jadeja, I think, has really been missing in this league altogether. I thought Jadeja would be the most valuable player in this league, considering his experience overall in batting, bowling and fielding, but he's not just pitching in anywhere. So I think it will really help and see what's going wrong. Probably we'll be more clear. We'll have more clarity in terms of what is going wrong in batting if he kind of come and bat first. We'll be more clear in that.
Well, look, as much as we want to keep talking about CSK, I'm sure we could do like an entire podcast about CSK every week. But, there's 5 other teams to talk about. But, let's see what happens with CSK. Who knows what, they could still turn it around. There's enough time for them to turn it around. Having said that, though, I've grown up in England, obviously, as you can tell by my accent. When I was a kid, Manchester United and Arsenal were, the 2 biggest teams, in the league at that point. You look at those 2 teams now, and they're like, shadows of their former selves. So maybe this is the end of an era for CSK. Who knows? But let's see if they can turn it. Yeah, Neha's saying no. But let's move on. Number 5 in the table, and we're moving on to Manish. Sunrisers Hyderabad. Mixed bag again for Sunrisers Hyderabad, but really starting to find your feet, I think. The odd performance, especially the one against Punjab, absolutely demolished Punjab in that match. What did you make of this past week?
Well, it was really convincing, and I felt really happy after that comprehensive win against KXIP, and I felt that we have finally found the right team combination. But also there were 2 huge setbacks. The injury to Bhuvneshwar Kumar means that the main pillar of our frontline bowling is gone now. So the onus now lies on Sandeep Sharma and Khalil Ahmed to step up and rise to the occasion. And another concern is the 3 matches that we've won while defending, that is bowling second. But tosses can't always go in our favor. So I also want to see my team win a match while chasing. And that is something we've not been good at. And also finishing has been a problem for the Sunrisers Hyderabad. You saw how we lost the plot against KXIP once we lost both Warner and Bairstow. So Those are 2 aspects I would like to see the Sunrisers working on. But rest assured, I'm really happy that we've picked up quite well and bagged victories against KXIP, CSK and DC, the table toppers. So it's really convincing.
Yeah, I think also just as India fans as well, as we all are, I think the words Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and injury are 3 words that just fill us with utter dread. Again, he's just had such an unlucky career. Obviously, he's played well. He's had a lengthy India career, but it just seems like he's constantly plagued with injuries.
Well, yes, it's really unfortunate to see his talent go in vain when he's suffered through injuries for quite a long time now, and it's always been a black mark in his career. But we are going to miss his services throughout the entire season, and no matter how far we go, Bhuvneshwar Kumar would have been a great benefit to our team, and we are going to miss his services a lot.
Well, one bowler whose services you're absolutely exploiting as best as you possibly can, Rashid Khan. My God, he is having an absolute blinder of an IPL so far.
He's an absolute gem, and whenever he comes on to ball, the Sunrisers fans suddenly start getting optimistic. And batsmen just don't seem to know how to play him, and especially he's making good use of the conditions that he has in the UAE. He's just spinning his web out there. He's showing us his magic, and it feels great to have him in our unit.
Yeah, and just the one last word about Johnny Bairstow as well. That innings of 97. Obviously, again, like I said, being from England, we kind of see what he does, on a weekly basis and stuff. But what did you make of that innings, Johnny Bairstow's amazing innings of 97?
Johnny Bairstow, about him, I want to say that he's the guy who's playing with extra freedom this time, but he's also been bit on the itchy side as well, because David Warner has not played to the best of his potential. He's looked a bit scratchy too. So Johnny Bairstow, he's that person who can give you a flyer or also get dismissed early. But it was a great innings the other day. 97. We so wanted him to get that century, but it was a bad feeling seeing him get out 3-run short. But he's a great batsman, and is also keeping quite well. So it's great to see him open at the top alongside David Warner.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Gurkirat, do you have something to ask?
One thing where I think Sunrisers deserve a lot of credit is how they've used the relatively inexperienced Indian middle order, right? Everybody keeps talking about how middle order is very important, and how teams don't have enough depth. Sunrisers have the same problem, right? You had not seen much of Abdul Samad or Priyam Garg or Abhishek Sharma also. But, I think Rajasthan and Punjab specifically can learn something from Sunrisers on how to utilize their potential and the talent despite the inexperience. I think Punjab still have better names when it comes to middle order. They have a Sarfaraz, they have a Mandeep, they also have Deepak Hooda. But I think this is where, somehow Sunrisers have somehow managed to make things work. Other thing is, I feel that somewhere along the line, I don't know if Manish thinks so or not. I think somewhere down along the line, they'll have to bring in a Nabi or a Holder or a Stanley, because their Indian bowling attack is pretty much one-dimensional. It's all of them bowl at 130, 135, and it is going to somewhere cost them at the death, is something that I feel.
I have to agree with what Gurkirat said, and there's been a lot of discussion in our SRH groups as well about who should be that fourth foreign pick. But bringing in Kane Williamson has given our unit a totally different outlook. And Johnny Bairstow, David Warner are no-brainers at the top. Rashid Khan, well, he's a no-brainer pick as well. Kane Williamson has given our unit a different outlook in itself. And his presence the other day also meant that we were 20 runs above, and we finally reached that 200 mark. So there's been a lot of discussion going around who should be that fourth foreign pick. But yes, bringing in Nabi or bringing in someone like Holder would also solve that fifth bowling option. We saw the other day how Nicholas Pooran targeted both Abhishek Sharma and Abdul Samad, who are our fifth bowling options. So it's been of a bit of a concern, the fifth bowling option. So bringing in Nabi or Holder would certainly do us a great good. But also, I still feel that our middle order needs to find their feet properly and find more confidence in themselves to rope in someone like Nabi or Jason Holder, for that matter, into the 11.
So let's hear from Siddharth, and then we'll go to Ronak after that.
So basically, I believe that SRH is the only team where you can't change the 4 foreign players playing as of now. You can't change anything from that. You can't take out Bairstow, you can't take out Warner, you can't take out Kane Williamson, and you can't take out Rashid. The rest of the bunch that is there in the dugout, they are not going to do anything. That is for sure, because you can't take out Williamson any day, because your middle order is not doing well, and he gives you the stability, he gives you the guidance. He is providing you much better than his batting for the team. You can't take him out. It was totally illogical for them to not use him and bring in someone like Nabi or anyone. Let be they in any form. Let Nabi be in top of his form or anything, but you can't replace him with Kane Williamson. He has also scored for SRH when there was no David Warner due to his suspension. That time he was a captain, he took the lead, and he has done really well. You can't take out any foreign players. You can't take out Rashid also. If you want, at the very worst, if you think that there is some problem with our batting or bowling, I would say that you can take out Rashid once, but you can't take out Williamson if there's a choice, because the choice is very tough for them to make. So like someone like Stanley or Holder is not going to do anything. So it's better to give it to them to some other team.
Just on the Rashid bit, I don't think Rashid's batting is being utilized. He can be a very good hitter down the order. And somewhere I think they have to use him as what KKR has used Narayan. Especially when the spinners are in operation. He's a very, very good hitter of the ball. And if somebody has followed the BBL, they'll also know this. He's a freak with the bat. He can genuinely be a freak. I just, take my mind back to the 2018 qualifier too. He scored 34 of 10 balls against KKR and just changed the game. His batting potential is very, very underrated.
Yeah, Ronak, go ahead.
I agree with you. And
I think go on, Manish. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with what Gurkirat said. I would also love to see Rashid go up the order, but we've constantly heard VVS say in his conferences that they want to depend on the young Indian unit to do the job of finishing the innings for us. And if you look at Abdul Samad or if you look at Abhishek Sharma, these guys are also big hitters of the ball. So as of now, I don't see Rashid Khan coming up the order, and I think he's doing a great enough job with the ball. So as of now, I think the duty lies on Abhishek Sharma or Abdul Samad to finish the innings for us.
Yeah, Ronak, go ahead.
So as you can normally see with the template of the best performing teams in the IPL, they do not chop or change that much with respect to the batting order. Mumbai Indians, most successful team, you see a fixed 1 to 7 most of the time. So I think Rashid Khan may not be put ahead because the 3 Indian players are performing extremely well. With respect to Billy Stanley or Kane Williamson, I think it is a very good question because it's actually a catch-22 situation with Bhuvaneshwar's injury, and it might not be a straightforward answer where we will play Kane Williamson because he's the greatest player. But I think in this situation, Kane will offer more value than what a Stanley or a Holder will offer, because you expect consistency from Kane Williamson. You may or may not expect the same consistency that a Stanley or a Holder might get in. I mean, you can get in Stanley Kane and you can see he might go for 40 runs in 4 overs. But with Kane, he will give his best in 9 out of 10 matches. So I think it might be a horses for courses situation where they might drop Kane for an extra bowler against certain opposition or at certain grounds. But I think SRH should stick to the same team that they have been playing for the last couple of matches.
Well, I think on that note, we'll have to move on from this discussion. Lord knows we could talk about Sunrisers all day, and we're going to say a goodbye to Manish as well, who is going on to do another interview just after this. So thank you for joining us today, Manish.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. See you guys. Cheers.
See you later, Manish. Bharat Army all over the world on different podcasts, different news outlets and everything. Look at that. So we are moving on to the top 4. The top 4, would you believe it? And oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, do not adjust your TV sets. At number 4, is this correct? It's Royal Challengers Bangalore. Oh my God. How did that happen? Amanda,
Yeah,
what's going on?
it's pretty dramatic. I mean, everyone's surprised to see RCB 4th, especially. I mean, it's different again. I mean, I think it's the underdogs this year. I mean, Delhi and RCB on top feels great. But most importantly, feels great to see Virat do well. It feels so good. It feels so good.
We got the vision, the image that will send shivers down the spine of the rest of the IPL. Virat Kohli 90 and 72 in this past week. Honestly, he is back. He is back to playing some of his best innings. And that 90 in particular was a very different Virat Kohli sort of innings. It wasn't one where he was just going bang, bang, bang. He actually grafted out a proper inning.
He did. And honestly, I mean, I'm not surprised. Virat is capable of almost everything. I'm so glad to see him play like this. And talking about the 90, about yesterday's match against CSK, it honestly, scoring a 90 with a strike rate of about 172, that is pretty good for scoring a lot of runs. And I think, he led the way. And again, Virat Kohli, despite not having his favorite batting partner or, losing the top order batsman, he led the way. He, once again proved his class, and he took that responsibility upon him, and he just scored, and he won us the game. I mean, it would have been pretty difficult for RCB to defend a low total. Having around 6 runs and over and scoring approximately 120, 130. It would have been very difficult to defend a target like that when you've got batsmen like Faf and Watson and stuff. So I think that crucial knock was what won RCB.
So you're in 4th position now. What do you feel you need to just keep hold of that 4th position, or even go a little bit higher in the table?
Honestly, I think this team is working out. I think we've got a good team. We've got a balanced team. I think getting in Morris was a good idea. He's done. I mean, he took 2 wickets last night, and he's done pretty well. So I'm glad to see, RCB utilizing their players, and we spent a bomb on Morris. It wasn't, So I think, RCB they've thought well before choosing the team, and I think sticking to their game plan, their usual game plan, and their team, I think we can hold on to that position.
Yeah, Sid, what's been your thoughts on RCB this last week? Has Devdutt Padikkal converted you to a believer yet, or are you still a Partha Patel man?
No, actually he is doing quite well. But the only thing is, I told I want to see him chasing 200. I want to see what he does then. That's the only thing that I want to see. Because if he's playing well, that's good for India in the long run. What I want to say is, if they have brought Morris in place of Moeen Ali, they should at least utilize his batting also. Because he is not only about his bowling. He is a pinch hitter. He can score any amount of runs on any given day, provided that he is in form, and I think that he is in form as of now because his bowling is quite in form. So I think that after De Villiers, it has to be Morris down the order, because you can see that you are not scoring much runs. Shivam Dube, yes, he is a good player, but I would again say that Morris can do anything with the bat as well. So it would be good if Bangalore uses Morris 3 down. That's the only thing. Use him for his batting also.
I mean, we didn't really have to use him the last match. Talking about the last match, we didn't have to. I mean, Virat did it all. If Virat had gotten out, then we would have seen Morris with the bat. He is a good striker. I'm not going to deny that. But we didn't need him at the time. So, we just have to wait and see for the other matches.
It's just
wait
a
until
match.
he actually comes.
It's just a match. The thing is, going further in the tournament, they are going to face much more tougher teams, which have quite a depth in their batting and bowling as well. So that time you can't experiment with a Shivam Dube or a Washington Sundar at that time. That time you need
Absolutely.
someone.
No, I get it. But
Yes.
we have to wait
someone-
for the upcoming matches.
Yes.
This has only
That
been his
time you need
first match.
someone who has done that thing for you in the past, and that is Chris Morris. Mumbai Indians wanted him quite badly, if you see. In the auctions also, they were quite going behind him. But after a point, the budget was over and we had to drop him. But Morris is a perfect pick for any team, batting and bowling both.
So let's
Absolutely,
hear
but
from.
Shivam-
Oh yeah, go on, Amanda.
No, I was just gonna say that I'm not looking at past records and stuff like that, but I'm looking at Shivam Dube's performance this IPL. He scored those crucial runs. Made that 1-6, 1-4, that does make a difference. Those are the crucial runs of the game, and which is what got us that total as well. Of course, Virat was there, but that 1-6, 1-4, it did, help us get over the line a bit.
Morris is for Bangalore. What Stokes is for RR, if you see.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, he's
We'll have
quite
to wait and
underrated.
see.
Morris as a player is quite underrated, but you have to see what he has done for Delhi in the past.
That is
So let's open up the discussion a little bit. Let's go over to Ronak and then we'll go to Gurkit.
Yeah, so I have 3 points. Firstly, Morris is a finisher. I mean, he's not a top order batsman. You can't have a finisher move on to a number 4, number 5 position and expect him to play a 60, 70 run inning. He's a perfect guy to score 30 runs in 10 balls, 30 runs in 15 balls, but you can't have him at the top of the order. You saw what happened to Irfan Pathan also. He was promoted to number 3. He played well in a couple of matches and then he faltered. These players are fixed for that particular slot, which is a finisher's role. He'll come in the last 2-3 overs. He'll perform exceedingly well. He'll score 30 runs, 40 runs, but that's it. The more pressure you put on such players when you put them ahead, they will falter. That is point number 1. Secondly, RCB. I mean, I'm very happy to see RCB perform really well. I think along with Rajasthan Royals, I think RCB is one of my favorite teams, and I'm sticking my neck out to say that RCB will win the tournament this year finally. Woo! And I'm particularly impressed with the bowling of RCB. I think they have stood up and made a difference this time, because Navdeep Saini and Chahal have been 2 excellent bowlers for RCB this time. And I think it's been the bowling performance which has been slightly better than the batting, and that is why they are at a position where they are. And with the addition of Morris as well, I think that really strengthens the bowling, which I think RCB was lacking over the last 12 years. So I see bowling being more predominantly being helpful for RCB.
Let's go over to Gurkit real quick, who wanted to have something to say.
A few things. Morris, although has shown ability in the past with the bat, but over the last 2 seasons that he was with Delhi, he didn't really perform well with the bat. That is one. So his form has been on the decline with the bat. The second thing is, as a Mumbai fan, Sid would know that Shivam Dube played a very good cameo against Mumbai as well, 27 of 10 balls. So there's a common old saying, that is followed in English is, why fix something when it's not broken?
Yeah.
So I think, with the way Dube is performing, especially after that cameo against Mumbai, he's gaining in confidence. And I think that's how the order is going to be. Apart from this, I think another reason why they sent Dube above Gurkirat Maan was they wanted to maintain a left-hand, right-hand combination. If you see, when Padikkal got out, they sent in Sundar. Then another left-handed got out, so they sent in Dube. So they also have this great flexibility in their batting lineup where they can send in a left-hander or a right-hander, depending upon what kind of bowling is in the attack and who's the other batsman. So I think it's going to be flexible for RCB throughout the tournament, depending upon who gets out and what kind of bowling is there. And last point I'd say that on Navdeep Saini is that he's the perfect example of the saying in cricket that pace is pace. On a couple of occasions, he's missed his lengths. He's missed his Yorker, but because it is coming at such a pace that batsmen are not able to take advantage of it. Even in that super over, Pollard couldn't time a full toss because it's coming so quickly. So Navdeep Saini has been one standout performer, and I think if this bowling core keeps going for RCB, they can really do well, and probably, who knows, I hope Delhi stops them, but yeah, there are good chances that they might also go all the way.
Just one point. I mean, you cannot compare Stokes to a Morris. I mean, Stokes is a World Cup winner, man of the match in a World Cup final, single-handedly winning teams for England. I mean, he's a backbone of the England team and the RR team. Morris is not even in the integral discussions of the South African team right now. So there's just no comparison between a Stokes and a Morris.
The way you look, the way you see at things, I don't see. The thing is, I'll tell you one thing. The only thing what I cribbed about Delhi the last season is they haven't used Morris well. He was playing too down the order. He didn't got any chance to bat, and that is the entire season I have cribbed. What are they doing with him? If he is there in the team, why aren't they using him? Have you seen him playing up the order? No.
He was batting.
You
at
haven't
6 and
seen
7.
what?
When you have
That only. That's too down.
Rishabh Iyer.
He can't be batting above, say, the likes of Iyer, Rishabh Pant, Colin Ingram, and in some games
They
he
were
also had.
They were unexperienced players also who got a chance much before Morris to play up in the order. If you see, you go back to the stats of what Delhi.
I followed
not
all
one
games.
game. You go back to the stats.
I am saying the stats also have to be in context of what is happening. In the last 2 seasons, his batting was completely off. He was struggling with it. The reason Delhi retained him in 2017 was to see his value with the bat as well. And that was the same reason he was let go, because his batting had fallen off a cliff. If it comes back again, nothing better than that for RCB. But you have to be contextual in how you see the stats as well.
What
the context was missing
might not be the
entirely in
same in
last
2020.
What I would say is, you told me that that he is a pinch hitter and he can't play up the order. So what is Russell doing for KKR? He is not performing as of now, but at least he is coming up and he can score 60-70 easily. So why don't you give someone like a Morris a chance to play up the order? Just after David.
Just one point. There's a concept.
Russell is not a pinch hitter. He does well against every kind of bowling. A pinch hitter is supposed to do well against a particular type of bowling. And for Morris, that is medium pace.
Just one point. I think there are two concepts. One is a batting all-rounder and one is a bowling all-rounder. Morris is a bowling all-rounder. Russell, Stokes are more of batting all-rounders, and you can't have bowling all-rounders coming on top of the order and doing the role of a batsman. That's it.
True.
I don't agree.
Well, look, as much as we want to keep talking about Morris, and again, I don't know any other podcast where you'd have this much in-depth talk about Chris Morris. However, we do have other teams to talk about. But before we move on from RCB, you guys caused quite a stir last week talking about Virat Kohli and the captaincy of RCB. And so I'd like to take a vote, a show of hands here from everybody. Who here believes that Virat Kohli is untouchable as the RCB captain? Hands up if you believe he's untouchable. And when I say untouchable, I mean, even if RCB finish last for the next 3 seasons, they will not remove Virat Kohli from the captaincy. Hands up if you believe that. Wow. Only 3 people. Only 3 people, eh? Oh, 4 people. Okay, all right. Well, let's see if that's the case. But they're going well so far this season. So let's see if they can actually reverse the curse and actually lift that IPL trophy this year.
Just want to clarify. I don't think he's a great captain, but I think he's still untouchable because they don't have any other option.
So if they had Kane Williamson or Owen Morgan in the RCB team, I would definitely maybe shift the captaincy to them, but not to AB de Villiers and not to Aaron Finch at all. I mean, Virat Kohli is much better captain than these two.
Well, I'll tell you which captain is doing well right now, and that is Dinesh Karthik, who we were talking about earlier, which takes us to the nosebleed territory of number 3, all the way up in the table, the Kolkata Knight Riders. And what a fortunate week that they've had, eh? 2 victories, which could have easily been defeats, but they managed to pull victories out of the hat somehow. Abhijit, tell us your thoughts on this week.
See, we are winning. And whenever we are winning, it has become a trend in last 2 matches that we are pulling it at the end. But I strongly feel there are many ways to improve as a team. like fixing the batting order still is an issue. Although they have already fixed it with promoting Rahul to the opening slot, but there are many things like bowling. I expect better from Pat Cummins. He was lethal in the match against Sunrisers. If he can replicate those kind of performance in the upcoming matches, and then we might not see this type of nail biter in the future.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, they're two real nail biters down there, but they have taken you up to third in the table, though. So you're right in the mix of the territory. So, just looking forward to the rest of the tournament and stuff, where do you think Kolkata could actually take this season? Do you think that they could win it this year?
Okay, I'm looking at it at the moment. Okay, anyway, definitely. I mean, the kind of team that we have, we have never been the favorites. Even when we won in 2012 and 2014, we won it with the momentum only. In 2014, we won 10 games in a row. So a team performance can be analyzed with the momentum and the kind of playing 11 they pick on the given day. So I strongly feel the kind of captaincy that DK is doing at the moment. Only concern for me at the moment is Andre Russell not firing the way he used to, and Morgan also not performing, not consistent in all the matches. The overseas performance for us has been a little bit worry. I think you guys mentioned Andre Russell is a batting all-rounder, but this season somehow he is transforming to a bowling all-rounder. Sunil Narine, his action got reported last match, and he lost his position as an opener. And Pat Cummins, the way he showed his skill in match against SRH, he's still lacking. So all our overseas player, they are not performing at the as a group. They are performing as an individual. This match this guy performs, that match that guy performs. So once our overseas players start performing and haunting in a group, then we will become unstoppable at the moment. So at the moment, there are many questions asked upon KKR only because these performance that we are not seeing from the experienced guys. Apart from that, if you look at Indian players, everyone is contributing. Nitish Rana is getting start. Yesterday he got to an unfortunate run out, but he is getting start. And DK, he revived himself. He is the most experienced guy in the Indian cricket circuit at the moment. So once our overseas players start performing, then we'll be unstoppable.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, let's go over to Neha. Neha with some questions.
So I was saying, though KKR is at number 3, it's not a position for you to kind of relax on, because I think the last 2 matches versus CSK and Punjab could have gone either ways. It's not that the team is overall doing really great and you can now relax and continue to be in top 4. I think it will be very difficult for KKR to remain in top 4. They can easily slip down the order. I hate to say the word lucky, but yes, they were lucky in the last 2 matches, or probably the match could have gone either ways. It's just that they were better off on that particular day, but not convincingly. So I think it would be difficult for KKR to maintain the 3rd position.
But Neha, isn't that what champion teams do? They
Exactly.
they win matches where they nearly lose.
Actually, if you look at
I agree to that, but the only point that I'm sticking to is it will be difficult for KKR to remain at that top 3 position to kind of consistently expect that every match probably will be the same. As Abhijit also rightly acknowledges and agrees, the team has to come out and perform together. As much as IPL is all about the last ball or the last over thing, but they can't be relaxing now that we are in the top 4, we are at 3 currently, and things are going right for us.
Yes, but there is one thing that I want to mention to everyone. Sunil Narine has bowled a super over, maiden super over in CPL. So don't underestimate him as a death bowler. Gautam Gambhir used to bowl it. Even if Dwayne Bravo, is he really a bowler? No, he just mixes his pace and length, and he takes CSK through in the death overs. So as of now, yes, Sunil Narine is not unplayable like what he used to be, but still he is one of the best death bowler in the IPL circuit at the moment, who can take a team through in that current situation. Like Bravo also, he used to did that for CSK. I mean, CSK was changing their fortune in the last over. I mean, last few overs only. That's what they are lacking this time. So yes, we got lucky, but still, I mean, you can't take credit from Sunil Narine the way he has turned in last two matches.
Yeah, Ronak, did you have something to say?
Yeah, so I think if a team is not performing well and still winning matches, I think it's a positive for the team, because the day they start performing well, you can just imagine the kind of chaos they will create amongst, in the tournament. So that way, I think KKR has still a lot to offer. I think other teams also will be a bit worried about KKR because they are unpredictable. I mean, against any opposition, they can just suddenly turn hot, and Andrew Russell can fire against any opposition. So as a team, I would always be wary of KKR because they can just fire anytime, any moment.
Want to add one more thing?
Yeah, go on, Abhijit.
Whoever watched yesterday's match, if you noticed, when Sunil Narine came to bowl and Prasidh Krishna were bowling, even commentators were saying the runs are left for KL Rahul to hit and win. If you notice, Dinesh Karthik at the end, he was shouting, he was encouraging the fielders like throw now, throw this, that. That he had confidence in Sunil Narine, and one wicket could change everything for KKR. So it's T20 basically. It's not a team game at all. It's the individual bowler and the individual batsman, how they do. So that's it.
Well, look, I think with that, we need to move on to the top two teams. We don't have a huge amount of time left, and obviously we've got the two most successful teams to talk about. So, at the number 2 position, that brings us on to Sid and the Mumbai Indians. And Sid, on my notes with Mumbai Indians, I have only 3 words written down: clinical, professional, ruthless. That's the 3 terms that I've used for Mumbai Indians, who have looked absolutely lethal in their past few matches. How have you felt that this week has gone?
So Mumbai Indians is playing exactly like Team India. You see, every player is important and every player has contributed. You say from the start till the bottom, every player has contributed. There is no loopholes in the team. We had a loophole when I just want Hardik Pandya, the bowler, to come back. And that's the only thing. But if you see, everyone is performing. Everyone, either Surya Kumar or Rohit Sharma or Dekov or Ishan Kishan, someone is going to step up on the day and they are going to get the win for us. And that's the best
I want to talk about Surya Kumar Yadav for a little bit, because the man has never been capped for the national team and is a consistent performer year in, year after, and looks like, again, he's going to be an amazing performer for you this year.
So when you see, basically, players are doing well. Not only Surya Kumar, there are many players who have been doing quite well in the IPL and domestic leagues, but they haven't got the chance. So the concept is this way: whom he would be replacing. If you see, Surya Kumar's batting position is one down, and who plays one down for India? VK. You can't replace him any day. Okay, so it is a straight equation. Who do you want first? Do you want someone, do you want Surya Kumar or do you want this player? So basically, that's the only concept. There are many players who are doing quite well, but the only thing is that's not the stage. You have to also do well in the leagues, like against Bangladesh. I'll tell you how it works. They have to play well against Bangladesh, Zimbabwe, those tours. And when you are playing well on those tours, then you are getting a chance to get into the Indian team. So you have to perform everywhere. It's not just IPL, that you have played well, so you are in the team. So that's not how it is been happening.
Works. Yeah, fair enough. And there's one other thing I want to talk about, which, again, I think will send chills down the spines of everybody else in the IPL. I'm talking about 4 overs, 20 runs, 4 wickets, 14 dot balls. Jasprit Bumrah versus Rajasthan Royals was absolutely phenomenal. And he looked like he was bowling back to his best. It looked like he had a red ball in his hand in white clothes on a 3rd-day pitch with a 2.5 session old ball. Sid, what did you make of that bowling performance from Jasprit Bumrah, who was firing in those in-swinging Yorkers?
The best part about Jasprit Bumrah is when you think that he's not going to perform well today, and that's the day that he's going to take all the wickets. If you see, there's a concept between the people that he is bowling well, but he's not taking wickets. And the last game, it was going in my mind as well that would he be taking those wickets today? And you see, it was, he just turned around the game for Mumbai Indians. I told you, na, either someone or the other is going to step up on a particular given day. Today also, tomorrow also. We are going to win. But who is going to perform, you never know. Anyone can perform. But we are going to win. And that's the point. So
okay, well, look.
Yeah.
Let's open up the floor to everybody else for a minute, because what Sid is saying, he ain't lying. They have 4 titles to their name. They are the team to beat and the team that's performing the best at the moment. So what I want to ask to everybody else on this podcast, how do you stop the Mumbai Indians? If anybody has any answers for me, I'm more than willing to hear. So let's go over to Gurkirat first and hear your answer.
See, I'll be really completely honest. I think there is no team in the entire IPL that can outbat Mumbai, right? KKR come close, but with Krunal at 7, he makes the difference. So I don't think there is any team that can outbat Mumbai, right? So if you have to beat Mumbai, what you have to do is you have to outbowl them. You have to outbowl them, and that too, playing proper matchups. Like everybody knows that Pollard and the middle order will struggle a little against express pace. So you play those extra paces that you have, and then you have to capitalize on the weakness of their batsmen on playing leg spin. Like how Rohit struggles against leg spin. QDK also doesn't have great numbers about it. So there is no way you can outbat Mumbai. It will happen on one day out of 10 that you outbat Mumbai. On most days it is not possible. You can only outbowl them. And now outbatting them is becoming even more difficult because Rohit has struck from early in the season. And he's not been, playing slowly and then accumulating in the end. He's been showing the right kind of intent in the power play. Right? You see him, score at a 130, 140 by the end of the 6th or 7th over. And then when he takes off, he can become even dangerous. So I think outbatting is next to impossible. The only way is you play 2 express fast bowlers, have 1 or 2 leg spinners, and then counter that threat and outbowl them. Outbatting is next to impossible.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have a theory. I have a theory, actually, and there's one person that I want to hear from more than anybody else, because you talked about how Rohit has started early in the season playing well. If I could just bring Amanda back into the podcast for a brief minute, because if we're talking about pacing yourself through the IPL, is Virat Kohli playing with the kind of form now where he could be the factor that stops the Mumbai Indians?
Absolutely. I think Virat, if he continues like this, he is going to, be one of the, he's going to turn around the game, hopefully again for RCB if the batsmen don't perform. And again, Virat Kohli, a lot of people rely on him. I mean, he is the captain, he is the highest run scorer. And, even though, the last game against Mumbai, I think he scored 3, not including the super over. He's back in the race. So I think he just needed that momentum to get started with, because the first game he scored 14, then 3, and then 1. And now he's back in the race for the orange cap. He's 6th on the table. So I think, strategize. I think that is basically what they need to do. Any team for that matter, any team playing against the Mumbai, they've got to strategize, look at past records, look at, where they could, improve on. Again, like Gurkirat said, you need to out bowl them, right?
Yeah. I mean, Gurkirat, he said, you can't outbat the Mumbai Indians, but maybe Virat Kohli could. Neha, how much does it hurt at the moment to see Mumbai Indians, back on top and CSK kind of lagging a bit? But what do you think? How do you stop the Mumbai Indians?
They have been unstoppable so far. Can't kind of pick out anything where they are lacking currently. As Sid also rightly said, that if one player is not performing, the other is chiming in to kind of fill that void and gap. So overall, they are working great as a unit. As much as we won the first match against them, I was like, oh, Mumbai is again an easy side to defeat because we won the first match against them with a good margin and etc. But then I think incredible. They are really unstoppable this time. I would also like to believe a very foolish stat that MI has been winning the titles only in the odd year. This is an even year, so they're not winning the title.
Wow, that's
2020 is an
some
odd year.
I would like to
Yeah.
believe that, and kind of be satisfied. Ke, haan, chalo, maybe they won't win the title going back. I would selfishly want to believe that foolish stat now.
Whatever suits to
Yeah, Ronak, what do you have to say?
In reality, 2020 also has been a very odd year, so you never know. I mean,
That's
it
true.
can
Thank
work
you.
out. So,
2020.
to be honest, the fact that Rohit Sharma is performing well is a big thing, because if you see the 2017 and 2019 wins of Mumbai Indians, Rohit Sharma's performance was very average. I mean, he scored 333 runs in one of the tournaments and 400 in the other, and it was the other players who had actually stepped up and won the trophy for Mumbai Indians. This
But he
season,
was
Rohit
the captain.
Sharma, I'm
But he
talking
was
about
the
batting. I'm talking about the batting.
He took all the calls. And
In terms
taking
of,
important calls on the field is what a captain's job
I am
is.
not
And
undermining
that is what
captaincy. I'm just talking about his batting performance. Without Rohit Sharma performing, it's a compliment to Mumbai Indians.
just
Without
technically, and that is what other teams are lacking at the moment.
without Rohit Sharma,
That is what KL Rahul is lacking. That is what Steve Smith is lacking at the moment. That is what other teams are lacking. And that is taking important calls
so
on the field.
I'm just
Robin Uthappa is going to bat today in the opening. So this call should have been taken long back. And that he's doing today. So good. Finally, he's doing. But that's not the case with
So
Mumbai.
I'm just complimenting Mumbai Indian team by saying that despite Rohit Sharma not performing with the bat in 2017 and 19, they have won both the tournaments. And here you see Rohit Sharma in form. So you can imagine the kind of added belief that Mumbai Indians will have to win in this tournament. The small weakness I would see in Mumbai Indians, I mean, it's not actually a weakness, but a small thing that I would worry about is the spin bowling. Maybe that can be considered as something that the opposition teams can attack. But that again, they have Krunal Pandya, they have Rahul Char, and more often than not, the spin bowling will likely to have an off day than Bumrah or Bolt or Patterson. So maybe opposition teams can look to attack the spin bowling of Mumbai Indians.
Well, look, we talk about Mumbai Indians as if, they're already guaranteed to win it and stuff. And obviously history dictates to us that, they probably will end up winning it. But let's not forget, there is another team at number one in the table who are having an absolute blinder of a year. Could they be the force that stops the Mumbai Indians this year? I'm talking about, of course, the other Metro City maniacs, the Delhi Capitals. Gurkit, still at number one in the table. You're not letting up. Everyone kind of thinks, oh, Mumbai's getting their momentum now. They're just going to take off while they leave everybody else behind. But Delhi Capitals are just not letting them get that inch above them.
Like I said in the beginning, it's a very unusual feeling. You genuinely don't see that happening. Delhi at the top after 6 games. I think it's happening after 8 years. In 2012, that was the case. And I actually went back and checked. In 2012, after 6 games, Delhi had won 4 and lost 2. So we've bettered that, so far till now. So I think an unbelievable start to the tournament till now. I think what has been I genuinely think that outside Firosha Kotla, there should be a statue of Chris Wokes, saying thank you. Chris Wokes, we wouldn't have Andrich Nokia. And he's been a revelation. And from the beginning, I thought that Chris Wokes was not a good pick because he doesn't, give much value with the ball at the depth. And you had a similar kind of player in Marcus Stoinis who would have batted at 6-7. So I think that was a huge blessing in disguise that he opted out. And one thing, so far so good. I think there's been only one concern, that is Shikhar's not firing. And if Shikhar's not firing, I don't know if they're going to drop him today or in the coming games. I think Rahane is going to come in. Hopefully that will make a difference. But so far so good. I feel that even Akshay Patel has gone unnoticed. He's been very good since the last season. He's bowled the tough overs and he's varied his pace extremely well. So most of the boxes are clicking right now. I hope that Pant comes to the party today, because last year in Wankhede he was the difference between the two sides. So if
we talked about Jasprit Bumrah as well. Talking about, oh my God, he's amazing. But let's not be biased. No matter how much we love him, Kagiso Rabada at the moment is probably bowling as good as he's bowled in his career in 2020 at the moment.
Yeah, of course. I think what's also helping him perform better is he has a better support. He has a better support from last time. There's Ashwin as well, right? And there was Mishra too. So when you have three kind of different spinners, all of them who know their craft well, it helps, right? there's not so much. He's not carrying the bowling attack. He has a Anrich Nokia as well to rely upon, and not to mention even Harshal and Stoinis have done pretty much okay as the fifth and the sixth bowler. There's a lot more support, so he's been also able to express himself well, I think.
And before I bring other people in, I want to know now, you're top of the table, you're 10 points from 6 matches. Are you starting to believe now? Like, are you allowing yourself to believe that this is going to be our year?
I think it's a little too soon to say that. There are still 8 more league games to go, and then there could be a potential 2 or 3 games. So a little too soon for that, because like I said, you want Shikhar to fire, you want one other opener to fire, and you want Pant to play the kind of innings he's known for. You want a fantastic innings to come somewhere in the tournament. So until that happens, I don't think the team can relax, and I don't think that is happening. But I think what they've done really well is play the tactics brilliantly. Like RCB, they also have a left-hand, right-hand combination in the middle order. And, depending upon who gets out and who's batting and who's bowling, they send in the player accordingly. Against RCB, because Moeen Ali was bowling, so they realized if they send in Shimran Hetmeyer, they will have 2 left-handers, so they sent in Marcus Stoinis. And, that's been the case. And, what has also changed is the contribution with the bat lower down the order. Last game against Rajasthan, Akshar and Harshal both played decent cameos and took the score, I think, 20 runs beyond what Rajasthan would have liked. And in the end, that 20 runs played a lot on the minds of the Rajasthan batting lineup, and it helped them create that much more pressure even on a small ground like Sharjah. So yeah, everybody's contributing, and it's good to see. It's genuinely very heartening to see that.
Gurkirat, you can allow yourself some momentary allowance because you never know. As you said, it's too early. So please.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of superstitious people on this podcast. You don't want to give themselves the credit.
One thing, you mentioned that Dhawan is not firing. So what I want to say is, what is firing according to you in a T20 match where you only have 120 balls, and Dhawan is actually scoring those 30s, that important start that the team needs. He has only not, he has just played 1 bad shot, and that was at the last game. So I don't know, not firing concept, from where it is coming, because he is actually playing well. If you see, it was just 1 game, and giving important starts to a team is important.
No, so I'll tell you what I meant. So if you see the game against Bangalore, he scored a 28 ball 32. Against SRH, he scored a 30 ball 32. I think it's a criminal for an T20 opener who's batting in the power play to end up with a strike rate of less than 120 or 125. Okay, so that is something that he needs to address. I liked his innings in Sharjah where, he just got out at the end of the power play, did not care about his wicket. I am fine if Dhawan is going to score 20 ball 30 or 20 ball 35, because then it allows a good platform for the middle order to fire without consuming too many balls. I will not be happy if Dhawan, say, plays a KL Rahul type of an innings which he did against Chennai.
I'll tell you how it goes.
So
I'll tell you how it goes.
Both the openers. I want him to increase his strike rate a little bit, and it's okay if he gets out at a 30-35, scoring them off 20 balls. It's fine.
I will tell you how it goes. Both the openers, they discuss that who is going to be the aggressor and who is going to just stand at one side and just maintain the batting. So it's not that Dhawan is not scoring that.
This is not ODI cricket, and I'll tell you why I say that. Simon Dool, in the Rajasthan versus RR game, he said it on air that in T20 you do not make up for the lost balls, you only increase your strike rate. Yesterday also you could hear Ian Bishop talk about how the partnership strike rate is not a great concept in T20, because if the conditions allow for it, both the batsmen need to keep going. So that is what is happening with KL Rahul. So it is not necessary that if the partnership is going well, one batsman can be allowed to play slowly. There is a minimum amount of strike rate that you have to maintain, and I don't think that Dhawan playing.
I will just say one thing. There are unlimited words in the world. There are unlimited words. You can play around words. But the thing is, at the end of the day, he is giving you that important start. I'll tell you one more thing. Hetmeyer is not getting any chance to bat. So what's the logic? Just because everyone is playing up the order, Shreyas, Pant, everyone is playing, and that's the reason they are not even getting a chance to bat. It's hardly that Hetmeyer is getting a chance to bat. That is just because they are doing well at the top and they are winning. So I don't think that if they are winning, that should matter to Delhi Capitals. Because at the end of the day, you want to win the match, and you can't replace him just because his fielding is top class.
He actually dropped 2 catches in the RCB game. So I don't know if dropping
let's
2 catches.
let's bring Ronak back into it for a second.
So
He's been tagging
I
the show.
don't think so. I don't think so. Gurkirat meant that they need to drop Shikhar Dhawan. He's just expecting a little more from Shikhar Dhawan in terms of strike rate. I don't think so. There's any question of dropping him for a Rahane. I think he would continue for the Delhi Capital teams. I'm actually two things that I want to highlight for Delhi Capitals. One is that normally you see the fourth and the fifth bowler normally being targeted by the opposition team. But Delhi Capitals' strongest point is that the fourth, fifth, sixth bowlers are not going for runs. I mean, Akshay Patel below 5 economy, Ashwin, Harshal Patel. I think that is the biggest strength that Delhi Capitals have, because you see the fifth, sixth bowler going for 30 runs in this IPL as well. So that is one positive. Secondly, I just want to see Delhi Capitals, how they adjust in the playoffs, because I think there's a psychological barrier that Delhi needs to break of winning the tournament. Because in all probability, you'll have Mumbai and Calcutta in the playoffs. And Mumbai, I mean, they've been there, done that. I mean, in their sleep, they can win tournaments like IPL. Calcutta have been there, done that. And they know how to perform in pressure matches. And for them, it's much more easier than a Delhi. So I'm actually looking forward to see how a Delhi Capitals come into the playoffs and break that, psychological barrier of beating these big teams and going on to win the tournament. So that's something interesting to look forward to.
Well, look, today is obviously the big game after this, Mumbai Indians versus Delhi Capitals and stuff. So I want to take a quick vote. So I'm taking out Sid and Gurkirat from the equation, because obviously we know who they're going to pick. But for the other 4 remaining people, who do you think is going to win? Hands up, Mumbai. Nobody thinks Mumbai is going to win today. Okay, and obviously hands up, Delhi.
Actually, I'd go for Mumbai maybe.
Although
I want Delhi to win, but cricketing sense maybe suggests Mumbai will win.
Actually, it's a very difficult pick.
It's difficult actually. You can't say.
It's unpredictable, really unpredictable.
And one more thing you missed out about Delhi is I want to add. Nobody is mentioning about the captaincy of Shreyas Iyer. I mean, his captaincy reminds me of Gautam Gambhir. Actually, I mean, this team is basically the team that Gautam Gambhir used to pick between the 2012 and 2014 era. They have everyone a solid Indian batting order, then proper roles assigned to overseas. I mean, if you remember the match between KKR and RCB, where RCB bowled out for 49. Sorry, Amanda, I have to remind you. There, Virat Kohli and ABD came to bat, and it was straight from the ball one. Gambhir placed himself in the short leg and asked Nathan Coulter-Nile to bowl all guns blazing. The same, I mean, when Russell came into bat, he wasted no time and brought Rabada. I mean, those kind of moves are helping Delhi achieve the new highs. Actually, nobody is mentioning Shreyas Iyer, and that feels bad. I mean, I feel bad. Shreyas Iyer is doing a great work at the moment.
Well, with that, I'm afraid I'm going to have to draw curtains to the end of Week 3's IPL Bharat Army podcast, because we've had a lengthy chat today. So thank you very much, everybody, for contributing for this week. And hopefully Shreyas Iyer will be able to win today's game, and Abhijit will have a little less to feel bad about. So, everybody, thank you very much for joining me. Hit us up, Bharat Army, on all of our social medias, Facebook, Spotify, Instagram, everywhere where you can find us, YouTube as well. And we'll look forward to speaking to you on the next podcast. Take care, everyone.
ये दोस्ती अब नहीं